Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show.
Do you mean that when you say howdy, howdy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm saying howdy to the people.
I'm slouching, I guess. I don't know. Hello, everybody. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show. I'm your host, Greg Tupper. That's my colleague and friend, Ashley Pickle. So yesterday, you and I didn't do a show.
Mm-mm. Which someone said that it's a shame. Rob Hadaway was saying that we didn't do it on Texas Independence Day, but if it makes we didn't. But if it makes you feel better, we were driving around in a Ford Flex that is an entire Texas flag.
Correct.
So I feel like we made up for it.
Oh, we got
yeah.
Don't worry about us.
We were giving it to the people of I-45.
And we were driving all over. We went down to Conroe.
That was stop number one.
I was invited to come and speak to the fine folks at the Conroe Noon Lions Club.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very gracious.
Good group of folks down there.
Very, very gracious invitation. I appreciate that. An opportunity to come and speak with them. And had a good time. Fun time there. And
talked about President Taft.
I don't know. There's always, like, whenever I speak to civic organizations and stuff like that, it's always kind of funny that with talks like that, obviously you want to mention, what you do for a living and stuff like that, but it also just can't be a bunch of work stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that gets boring.
Yeah.
So I there's a couple of little things that I like to throw in there about, I don't want to say like messages. I'm not trying to teach anybody anything, but I'm of the belief that
just a subtle reminder. Yeah.
Sometimes that, it's nice to be reminded of key values and key things like that and stuff like that. So we do that, but then it gets to Q&A time. And Q&A is all like, what about who's the mascot for New Braunfels?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. It was fun, but a good time down there with the fine folks at the greatest Lions club in the world. I'm supposed to say that.
Yep.
The greatest Lions club in the world.
I was just kind of chilling back there, and they were like, "You got to come sit with us." So I was immersed.
They got energy.
I was like a member.
They were not.
Yesterday.
They were not there to sit on there.
They asked if I wanted to be a member, and I said it might be a little bit of a far drive for a noon meeting in Conroe.
Yeah, it's a bit of a haul, but it was nice to be there, and we certainly appreciate them. There was a moment there where somebody mistook you for my wife. Yeah, they definitely thought.
Tepper had introduced me that I was the executive producer. I don't know if he showed up a little late, or it can get confusing. But I had walked up, and he thanked me for leaving the kids at home for the day to come support you. And I was like, you know what? I was like, yeah, no problem.
I'll tell you.
There's no point in trying to tell the whole backstory.
I'll tell you who thought that was hilarious.
Your
my
wife.
Actual wife. I told her that, and she laughed out loud.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was an older gentleman, so I was like, there's no need for me to try to explain what I do too. Like, it was a lot of information,
right.
So I just said, you're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, for sure. But then we went from there. Do we want to keep this a secret or no?
No, dude, we got to tell people because this is ridiculous.
So we went from there to Franklin, Texas.
The home of the Lions.
The home of the Lions. And we're going to start a series. You're going to work on this for the next week or so. Because you just got done editing a feature documentary, now it's like, here's some easy work.
Yeah, right.
We're going to start doing a series.
Edit more hours of footage.
Of, like, facility tours.
Mm-hmm. Like MTV Cribs, but DCTF.
Like high school football.
Turf.
Yeah, exactly. Home turf or something like that. Home field advantage or something like that. But we're going to go and go around and just, because people are always amazed at Texas high school football facilities and stuff like that. And so we were looking for one. We knew we had to go down to Conroe, and so we were looking for one kind of on the way. And Franklin is kind of on the way. It was a place that we had to swing out, and stuff,
right?
But it was close enough. And let me tell you, folks, the facilities at Franklin are
unbelievable. And
insane.
That's the thing. When we talk about Texas high school football facilities, and you see it goes viral once a year. That Allen Stadium is going to go viral once a year on a Max Prep's national page or a Bleacher Report national or something like that. I know how good the 6A and 5A facilities can get. I cannot wait for y'all to see this because the fact that this 3A facility is as insane as it is blew my mind.
I am here to tell you that pound for pound, Franklin is more impressive than Allen. Like
Franklin is more impressive than quite a bit of colleges that I've been to.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. Their tennis complex alone, we'll put this out there. They have like 12 courts.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They have 2 golf simulators.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's wild.
So we're gonna put that together, but that's where we were yesterday, and it was a lot of a
shout out
to our friend Will Hedrick, who's the defensive coordinator and the son of former head coach Mike Hedrick, and the grandson of I don't know his dad's name. Oh no, Joe.
Another Hedrick.
I can look this up. It was another Hedrick because the fields. I think it's actually it might be Mike. His dad might be Mike Jr. Let me make this. Let me see this.
If I can see the sign in my head because I filmed it, but I can't remember exactly what it said.
Boy, a lot of Hedricks. It was Joe Henrick.
Yes.
Joe Hedrick. And then Mike Hedrick came and was the coach from 2006 to 2019. Joe Hedrick was the coach from 1948 to 1984, and
so we talked to a legend.
And then this is the third generation of Hedrick.
He was great.
Hedricks at Franklin, and so he was the one who showed us around. Coach Mark Fannin was unable to be there. He was so sad. He was so sad he couldn't be there because he's the one who wants to show it all. But Coach Hedrick there, the defensive coordinator, did an unbelievable job showing us around it. So we can't wait for you to see it. Give us a little bit of time to edit it together, but we should be able to put it all together, and it'll be very, very cool. And then you can tell us which facilities you want to see.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yep.
All right, hit the theme expo. Pickle! Hit the air sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a program coming to you through a series of tubes. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, all the places, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local, mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She's Ashley Pickle.
Howdy, team.
We're going to hang out next Thursday, you and me.
Why?
Well, you're actually going to hang out with my wife.
Yeah.
You can get excited about
that. My wife.
Because I talked her into doing date night at the Conference USA basketball tournament.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
I'm a thinker.
Exciting stuff right there.
Yeah. So, anyway, I was thinking about that. I was like, by the way, I need you to get me some tickets.
Yeah, I got you.
Today is Thursday, March 3rd, 2022, 266 days till Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Alexander Graham Bell, episode 1342. On today's show, my friends, he's not here to do it because he's
on vacation.
He's in Big Bend. Did you see what he posted on Instagram?
Mm-mm.
So he's Mike Craven, our college football insider. I should just lay this out. It's about to get super busy for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's writing about 40% of the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's about to get super busy. So he's taking a vacation when he can, right before he kind of goes underground. And so he's in Big Bend country. He played golf out there at the Lajitas Resort.
Oh, nice.
And that is like, I'm not a huge golf guy.
Mm-hmm. Is that a course that you would go play?
Anytime you want to go play golf at Lajitas, I'm down.
Yeah.
So I'm super jealous of him.
That's awesome.
So he's out there. But we're going to talk about a piece he wrote for TexasFootball.com. He's doing his position rankings for every position entering 2022 in college football in the state of Texas. We'll talk about the quarterbacks and who he thinks is the finest quarterback in the state of Texas in college football going into 2022. In the back half of the show, we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Caddo Mills Foxes.
Yep.
Coach Cody Crane will be joining us after an outstanding year, especially on the offensive side, where they were lighting it up offensively. We're going to talk with Coach Cody Crane of the Caddo Mills Foxes coming up here at the back half of the program. But first, Ashley, do we have first four through the door?
It's always weird when you call me that. Yes, Daniel Agnew, Aaron Arbuckle, Tony Blaylock, and Rob Hadaway. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, friends, and thanks for that, Shlee.
Oh, God.
All right.
It just keeps getting worse.
All right, friends. Let's talk about somebody who's not here.
Craven.
College football insider Mike Craven. Mike Craven is on vacation at the moment, but the grind don't stop for him. The grind don't stop because he's got some pieces up on TexasFootball.com. He's going through and ranking the state of Texas college football, talking about the top 10. He's calling the Texas top 10 at each position.
Yes.
Going to each position group. I believe he's knocked out the entire offense at this point.
Yes.
Because he finished up, I believe he put up the tight ends yesterday. But he's going through ranking the top 10 in each position group. And, this is certainly up for debate. And there's going to be some person that he ranks pretty highly that is going to crater. It's not going to go well, or they're going to get injured or something like that. Or there's going to be a guy who nobody sees coming that shoots up the charts and ends up being like the number one guy.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. But right now, here in early March, with still 6 months between now and football.
This is like way too early rankings, which we're a big fan of.
Even before spring football.
Yeah, that's the big one.
There may be a guy on this list who doesn't win their job. That's possible.
Oh, yeah.
But he put up his top 10 quarterbacks in college football heading into the 2022 season. And your mileage may vary, but here's what he came up with as far as his top 10. At number 10, he had Lane Hatcher at Texas State. He is a transfer in from Arkansas State. He is, right now, that's Mike Craven's projection to be the to win the quarterback job there at Texas Tech. He's going to have to hold off the incumbent in Brady McBride. But this is a guy who split some snaps at Arkansas State. But he believes he's going to be the guy that takes over at Texas State. He comes in at number 10. Number 9 is Gavin Hardison, the quarterback at UTEP. He was certainly a surprise, I think, this year. But I would say that he broke a school record for passing yards.
I was going to say, he might have dropped down a little bit just because they're losing Jacob Cowing.
But they also, Jacob Cowing, of course, transferred out of the program. But Gavin Hardison, did set a record for passing yards, though he only completed 55% of his passes. So it's real kind of boom or bust there for Gavin Hardison, who's number 9 on Mike Craven's list. Number 8, Tyler Shuck, the quarterback at Texas Tech. He did start 4 games before he had a season-ending injury. I would say that he did not live up to his expectations even when he was healthy.
Correct.
But they're bringing in Zach Kitley, the offensive coordinator, who was the offensive coordinator for that wild-ass offense at Western Kentucky, where they kind of brought them in whole hog from
Houston Baptist. And then they literally picked it up and moved the entire offense to the hilltop.
And so if he's healthy, he could put up some big numbers for Texas Tech. He's number 8. Number 7 is Gary Bohannon at Baylor. Of course, he led them helped lead them to the Big 12 championship game. He was injured late in the year.
He reminds me of Hardison in kind of hot or cold.
And
he had really good moments and then not so good moments.
And here's an interesting guy who I think you could make an argument he may not be the starter.
Yeah, that's also
Blake
true.
Shapen, Kyron Drones are going to have something to say about this. He didn't throw an interception the first half of the season. He helped get them to that Big 12 championship game and helped get them to win the conference. But he's number 7 on Mike Craven's list. Number 6 is Max Duggan at TCU.
Old Faithful.
He's
still
a guy. There. He's still there, and he's a guy who he was probably held back as far as his true potential by the coaching staff there at TCU. Sonny Dykes going to let it rip. He's going to let him go.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to see whatever Max Duggan's got, we're going to see it in 2022.
And pretty early on, I would think, too.
Stay on. Exactly right. He did complete 66% of his passes, which was the highest of his career last year. Number 5 is Haynes King at Texas A&M. This is a guy who was injured in the 3rd game of the season. And then the A&M passing offense was never consistent.
No.
He is another guy who may not be the starter. Max Johnson, the transfer in from LSU. Plus, they've got the 5-star freshman in Connor Wigman. But he probably has having a year in Jimbo Fisher's system and understanding it, I think, is going to give him an advantage.
Just got to keep it healthy.
If he stays healthy, and he's athletic and he's got a big arm, that's
he's
something
fast too.
Something they were not getting from Zach Calzada. He could be that kind of high riser. He's number 5. Number 4 is Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, of course, is the transfer in from Ohio State. He's supposed to be a freshman this year. He's actually now just a redshirt freshman. He took 2 snaps at Ohio State before he transferred. He was a one-time Longhorn commit. He ends up landing there at Texas. This is a guy, he did not throw a pass at Texas at Ohio State.
No, it was 2 handoffs.
As far as the pedigree is concerned, as far as the recruiting status is concerned, I mean, he is a 5-star guy. He is a big-time pickup. He's going to have one of the best wide receivers in the country in Xavier Worthy out wide.
We know he can sling it.
We are about to find out if the hype is real. That's plain and simple. Right now, he's number 4 on Mike Craven's Texas top 10 quarterbacks for 2022. Number 3 is Frank Harris. Frank Harris from UTSA. He was probably the most improved player in the state in 2021.
Absolutely.
And really helped by him going from average to pretty darn good. He took UTSA from pretty good to conference champions.
Especially because people understood that Sincere McCormick was going to get the ball, so when they started really teaming up on that, Frank Harris took that big step forward that they needed.
Now they're gonna need more from him because he's gonna need to step up in a big way with Sincere McCormick off to the NFL draft. But Frank Harris, number 3, and if they can take another big step, they can stay at the top of Conference USA. The American Athletic Conference takes both the top 2 spots. Number 2 is Tanner Mordecai at SMU. He put up huge numbers there at SMU last year after a transfer from Oklahoma. The Hewitt Midway product was he actually led the nation in touchdown passes for more than half of the season. One of the problems for them, though, was that they went 1-4 down the stretch. And he is taking over a new system with Rhett Lashley, but the systems are similar enough that when he was the offensive coordinator, Lashley was in 2018, 2019, that there shouldn't be that big of a gap there for Tanner Mordecai, as he is number 2 on Mike Craven's Texas top 10. And the number 1 quarterback on the Texas top 10.
This is another Old Faithful.
Yes, Clayton Tune at Houston. Now that I think is another bit of a surprise, because I think if you had we've said this about Houston before, if you had made the argument right after game 1 of the season, you would have been saying, wait, him?
Yeah,
I mean, he was the guy who threw 4 picks, I believe, in the first in first game of the year.
Yeah, against
Texas Tech. And we're thinking, there goes Houston's season.
Yep.
Well, then they exploded, and they figure to be really explosive in 2022 with Tank Dell back, Alton McCaskill back, put together an 11-game winning streak. He could throw for this is a guy who only threw 6 interceptions in his final 13 games. Threw 4 in week 1, and then he threw 6 the rest of the year. That's really impressive. He gets the nod from Mike Craven for the Texas Top 10 2022. How do you feel about this list, Pickle?
I like it. I do. I think that this shows there's a lot of unknowns heading into the quarterbacks for next year, mainly because of injury. Like when you look at Haynes King, when you look at Gary Bohannon, when you look at Tyler Shuck, like all of those, it's going to be interesting to see. Can we keep some quarterbacks healthy in this state? Because I feel like that's a really, really good list of quarterbacks, but no one really reached their true potential last year. I think, and a big portion of that is injury.
I think that's fair. I would say that the only guy, Mordecai, maybe reaches potential.
Yeah. And then Clayton Tune obviously did too. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Clayton Tune did too.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to go into fuss about Clayton Tune being number 1 on this list, but I think that if you genuinely look at the scope of the rest of the quarterbacks, you'll see that Craven is right on this. I agree with him.
So there it is. Mike Craven's Texas top 10 quarterbacks for 2022. Let us know who you think should be number 1 in the comments and on TexasFootball.com. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Pickle, let's talk a little bit about our friends at Children's Health Andrews Institute. For the 3rd year, Dave Campbell's Texas Football has partnered with Children's Health Andrews Institute to shine a light on student training programs across North Texas with the Team Behind the Team Award. This year, 11 finalists were selected to compete for the Team Behind the Team Student Training Program of the Year Award and a chance to win a $2,500 donation to their school's athletic training program. After receiving more than 400,000 votes.
Which is great because athletic trainers deserve that attention.
On TexasFootball.com, we are proud to announce the North Texas Team Behind the Team Student Training Program of the Year, and the recipient of the $2,500 grand prize is...
Drumroll, please. Boom!
Frisco Lone Star. Congratulations to the Lone Star Rangers for being named as the North Texas Team Behind the Team Student Training Program of the Year, presented by Children's Health Andrews Institute. For more information, visit TexasFootball.com. Thanks to our friends at Children's Health Andrews Institute for sponsoring the North Texas Team Behind the Team Student Training Program of the Year. Congratulations to all the nominees, but a very special congratulations to the Lone Star Rangers of Frisco ISD as the North Texas Team Behind the Team Student Training Program of the Year, as presented by our friends at Children's Health Andrews Institute. Pickle's plugging in the phone. Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's bring in the head coach of the Caddo Mills Foxes. We are joined by Coach Cody Crane. Coach, how are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How are things in beautiful Caddo Mills, Texas?
Hey, it is beautiful right now. We got the best day of the world. We just finished some off season. There's no place in the world better than Caddo Mills right now.
Well, I'll tell you that you guys have a lot to be excited about. Obviously, after last year's season, an 8-4 year, you guys are able to get into the area round of the playoffs. I'm interested. You've been there for a couple of years now. When you take a look at what you guys were able to accomplish in 2021 with the Foxes, how do you assess what you guys were able to do in 2021?
Well, we graduated one of the best classes in the history of the school. The 2021 class that finished in 20. They went further the first year that Caddo Mills has ever played December football, and we had a lot of spots to fill. Probably one of the best quarterback that Caddo Mills has ever had in Tyler Townley, and we had to replace so many kids. And our kids bought in. They bought into the program. They brought in and came out and competed at an extremely high level. there were some things. We had some hiccups along the way, but overall, we thought it was a great follow-up year to 20 to set our program up with the expectation is what's expected moving forward.
Well, and one, you mentioned graduating Tyler Townley. There's a lot of programs, especially at your level, 4 Division II, who would lose a quarterback like that and the offense would fall apart. Instead, your offense stayed at that same high level, and I would imagine a lot of that comes down to what you were able to get from Jason Thomason, the guy who took over for Tyler Townley. You look at the numbers, you look at the film, and you can be impressed by what Jason Thomason brings to the table. But as the guy who gets to see him every day in practice and in workouts and stuff like that, what is it about the new QB1 there in Caddo Mills that really makes him special?
Well, he did a great job. He's highly competitive and wants to be great. Last year we couldn't keep him out of the weight room. He was at the field bringing his receivers on Sundays, and it just being good was really important to Jason. And so that's the one thing that I hope he leaves to the people that are going to compete for our quarterback job moving forward, is how important it is to be good and what this town expects, and that importance has to be there to make the work ethic and the sacrifice and everything you got to have to be great at the high school football level, especially 4A.
Yeah, most certainly. And this is it was far from just him doing the offensive numbers. We put it out, talked about the other day that you guys were one of the only one of the few teams in the state that 2,500-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, and 1,000-yard receiver. When you take a look overall, your offenses, regardless of where you've been, whether it's here or Gonzales, all the places you've been able to put together great offenses. When you take a look at this particular group of skill talent that you guys have, how does it compare to some of the guys that or some of the units that you've been able to coach across your career?
Well, and we were actually just talking about that with kids, actually. And Coach McDonald, our offensive coordinator, does an outstanding job. Him and the offensive coaches, and they have done a great job at preparing these guys. And it started up front last year. We had a great offensive line that would give us protection and make holes. But our skill kids, they could go. Jaden Linneman was an outstanding receiver. He made more catches spectacular than, it was all the time. And Caden Lamont, we had a really good group of Adrian Baxter will be a returner coming back playing running back. And so we were able to distribute the ball. So they couldn't focus in and stop on one person because we had multiple people that once they got the ball in their hands could make plays in space.
We're talking with Cody Crane, the head coach of the Caddo Mills Foxes here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Coach, I don't want to leave out the other side of your ball in your defense, which, I think sometimes your defense, because the offense is so spectacular, probably gets the short end of the stick as far as attention is concerned. Because everybody wants to go out there and see you guys throw the ball around and put up a bunch of points. But it seems to me that your defense, improved, especially as the season went on. How would you assess what you guys were able to do on the defensive side of the ball?
With how prolific that our offense is, our defense, our main goals are momentum goals. And our defense has bought into that, keeping them out of the end zone. Yards will come and yards will go, but keeping them out of the end zone, turning red zone trips into field goal attempts, creating turnovers, creating 3 and outs, all that stuff. And our kids really bought into that. And we had some leadership on the back end with Hunter Carter, and Lance Jamison was a free safety that will be returning. He's a tall, long kid. And on the front, we had Jacob Hall, and behind him, he can make a lot of things happen. So we had some great experience that was on our defense in 20 that brought their experience with them to 21, and they led us. And then we had multiple kids after that buy in, learn our scheme, learn our system, and learn the techniques and things that we're asking them to do. And that allowed success on Friday night, And here's the thing is I'll never forget, hearing Coach Patterson say that all that matters is we have one more point than them at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
There were some times that, yes, we wish we could have held them to a few more points or a few more, whatever. But at the end of the day, we just need to have one more point. And Coach McDonald, how our offense, they put up such great numbers that, defensively, as long as we get momentum at key times, then that allows us to be highly successful.
So now it's on to 2022, and I know that you guys are excited about your Foxes this year. Do you have a feel quite yet? And I know it's early, and you don't have to tell me quite yet if you don't know. But do you have a feel quite yet on how this 2022 Foxes team may be different from the 2021 squad?
Once again, since we've been here, we have lost 3 really big-time classes. And so we will be extremely new, extremely young, and especially on the offensive and defensive line. We will replace 4 starters on the offensive line. And so the focus of up front, just building up front. We've had an offensive line focus during this offseason, and then obviously replacing a quarterback and 2 receivers is going to be really important. We were able to stretch the field last year, and we're going to have to make sure that we're able to do that as well next year. We have a senior, a junior, a sophomore competing for the quarterback job, and so we think all 3 of them bring some things to the table, and we're looking forward to, as we turn to spring, to being on the field some, putting the ball in their hand and seeing where we go. But, where we're going to go from right now, right now we are just looking to build toughness, and that's what we're after, physical and mental toughness. And it's a new group. It's a new group of kids, a new culture, who we are, and we're defining that every day. And so that's what we're looking to do and improve our skill as we move into the later parts of the spring and into the summer.
Of course, a couple of weeks ago, we got realignment dropped in our lap. You guys, a few changes, Nevada community, out, Farmersville out. You guys add in a couple of schools from Dallas ISD. Was that about what you expected when realignment came out, or was that a bit of a surprise?
It was. Whenever we saw that Dallas ISD schools did not opt up, we felt like Sunnyvale had to be in there with them. And then we felt like it would have to be some form of Farmersville, Caddo, Quinlan, Wills Point to be in there with them, or they would have to go south to the Ferrises of the world. And so we thought that was a really legitimate possibility. Our first year here, we were in there with Lincoln and Roosevelt. So it's not something that we're not familiar with. And so whenever it came out and that's what it was, it didn't surprise us very much at all.
And it strikes me that, you take a look at what you guys are up against in District 6 4A Division 2. Especially at the top with you guys, Quinlan Ford, who obviously had a great year last year, Sunnyvale, who's always very tough, Dallas Lincoln squad that is capable of making some noise. It strikes me, and I'm curious to see if you agree, that it strikes me that you guys are going to be in a dogfight pretty much every single week in the district play.
Absolutely. And I believe this will be an extremely strong district that has a lot of outstanding athletes, a lot of great teams in it. But this region is unbelievably stacked, And so to make a deep run in the region, you're going to have to be one of the best teams in the state. And there's, Aubrey, what they're returning, and Carthage and Gilmer and PG and Sunnyvale and Van. I mean, goodness. And I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but this region is unbelievable. And so it's an honor to be in it, and it's a responsibility we have every day to perform at that level. And that's the toughness and things that we're trying to instill right now on a daily basis.
So finally, with Coach Cody Crane of Caddo Mills. Coach, I want to ask you about one player on your roster. It's number 16 on your roster, Braxton Crane, going to be a senior this coming year. What can we expect from this young man?
he better be able to do right. I'll just tell you that. Coach Kilmer a long time ago told me to treat him like a bird dog. Love him whenever he does good and whack him whenever he does bad. No, in all actuality, it has been so fun to be able to coach him. I'm a coach's kid, and to be able to coach him and be around every day, it's a bond and a relationship that has really grown through this beautiful game. And just our conversations and what we've talked about, and just to see him grow and develop athletically is just so fun. And then not only that, but having a kid, all of those kids that are in his grade that are over at the house all the time, just that better relationship. And so it's a really neat thing. It seems like a long time ago, and now he's going to be a senior. I don't know what the world's going to do whenever he gets out on his own. I don't know if he can fold his clothes without his mama, but it's been a really neat process and a fun process that I think we'll both cherish for the rest of our lives.
He's Cody Crane. He's the head coach of the Caddo Mills Foxes. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on a fantastic 2021, and looking forward to seeing what you guys do next year.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate so much what you do for our beautiful game, for our kids, and for our state. Thank you all so much, and keep it up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There he goes. Cody Crane, the head coach of the Caddo Mills Foxes, joining us here on Texas Football Today. Low energy.
Real monotone.
Pulling teeth to get some answers out of him. No, it's excited to see him, what they do. And he's right. This is a Caddo Mills program. You saw on the graphic there. They've now made the playoffs. He'll be his fourth year. They've made the playoffs 5 years in a row. That's tied for the longest streak in program history. Mm-hmm. This has not always been, the kind of powerhouse they've been, but in the final couple years under Steve Sumrow, and then now under Coach Cody Crane, when he came up from Gonzales, it's pretty cool what they've been able to do, and that offense has turned into a juggernaut. I mean, they have put up big time numbers. The 3 years that he's been there. I mean, more than 450 points in each of those years. So. You're talking big-time doings offensively. They're in a tough district there and tough region, but they've established themselves as a pretty consistent force. And hard to imagine them going away.
I went back and looked because I knew I had a quote from the first time that I ever talked to Coach Crane, and it was before their regional final appearance in 2020 where they played Gilmer because they had just beat Pleasant Grove the week before in the third round, which was big. But heading into that regional final round, he said, high school football is intended to make memories. Not many of us go on to play college football or beyond, but but these games that we're playing in right now is what Hollywood makes movies out of. It's what they write books about, and it's our job to enjoy it because it's Texas high school football at its finest. And I always think, man, you want to talk about a guy who, genuinely loves the game. It's always fun to listen to him talk.
You're exactly right. We appreciate Cody Crane taking some time for us. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts?
A reminder that if you have any questions for mailbag tomorrow, go to texasfootball.com/forums, and there is a... what?
Not just mailbag.
Well, I didn't know if it was a secret or not.
Well, he tweeted.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Matt Stepp is coming in. The great return of our friend from the Great White North. He will be back and ready to answer questions. So this is really important that you get questions in. Anything you want to ask Stepp.
On the forum,
go ahead and put them on the forum.
Forums. Go in there and drop those questions in there.
In typical Stepp fashion, he was out there hustling and tweeted you can send them to my email.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you need, man.
I got you. Dude, he is juiced up.
He's tweaking. Okay. Yeah. He has withdrawals.
Yeah. He called me last night on the way home to see how our road trip went and was asking all about the facility tour and everything.
He's in a bad way. He needs this badly. So we need you guys to come through for us and give us some questions for Stepp tomorrow on Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday. It's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Cody Crane, head coach of the Caddo Mills Foxes, for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday with Matt Stepp on Texas Football Today. Words.